Hello and welcome to Monkey's Paperpalooza Craft Corner. Today we are going to start part one of our two-part series on the My Monthly Hero October 2018 kit. It is a beautiful little holiday themed kit, so it's great for this time of year where we're starting to think about our holiday cards. So for this kit, we got the little kit pieces as well as the add-on that I just fell in love with. I had to get this Snowflake cling because it was just so pretty. Usually I don't get the add-ons, but this time I thought, why not? So let's open our first packet and we will see that there are three different types of contents in here. The first is going to be our iridescent watercolor ink. It is a beautiful watercolor ink that you can use solo or you can combine with any color to make your own custom iridescent ink. If you haven't used their watercolor inks, they're really fun. They even have a new metallic set came out also. Of course, you do have to shake it well. It will settle. So you shake it well and then you get that beautiful iridescence. So next is going to be these little iridescent star gems. They are clear, transparent in blues. We have three colors of glitter paper here. We have sea glass, silver, and I believe the last color is called Twilight, which is like a purple. Isn't that pretty? It's super shiny and glittery. And then, of course, we have our stamp kit. Like always, we have a stamp kit. And this has a beautiful little color-in kit that you can add all your little fun extras to. You can make little scenes with them, plus your little sentiments. It has silhouette ornaments as well as color-in ornaments. You get little ice skaters and animals and wonderful little Christmas sentiments. And it's super cute. And then you also get a bunch of little dies to go with them, plus a layering die, which you make really fun 3D effect with the tree with. And we will go into that as we make our cards. So let me get that out. Got this all out for you so you can see what we have here. These are your little figure skaters, your animals, your scene makers, and of course the tree. I'm going to cut these out and I will show you what you get on your stamps. But this is the most fun part, is that layering tree die. They have never put a layering tree or a layering die in a kit, and this is really fun. They've done border dies, but that's about it. So it's really fun to have that this time. So let me chop those down and get those on there for you so you can see what we have. But first, let me show you what I had as for an add-on. These are their beautiful background stamps. They are rubber, red rubber, and they have a cling back so you can cling them. They're great for making backgrounds, but I fell in love with this snowflake because it was very vintagey. The other one was not as vintage and I wasn't as much in love with it, but this one I just fell in love with because it was so intricate. All right, so I cut out the dies and this is what you get. So basically, you've got all your little animals, the ice skaters and sledder, the star for the tree, but in the bench and the lamp. The only thing they didn't really give you dies for that I kind of wish they did were be the ornaments. So you could stick them on the tree and make it kind of that, but that's okay. You can fussy cut those out. And you have all these little ornaments you can put on the tree. This is your layering die. Like I said, it will cut a 3D effect and you just pop these little things out and it will give it a little, almost like it has branches. And you can leave it just as an embossed, or you can even cut it out. So first thing we're going to do on our first card is we are going to use that wonderful background die that I got. So I'm going to line this up in the center as much as I can on my We Are Memory Keepers Precision Press Advanced. And I'm going to just stamp this baby out. It literally fits on the whole block, which is kind of cool. So I could do the whole sheet of this paper and cut it out into different shapes if I wanted to, whatever. I will recommend, you cannot really use your magnets if you're going to do this as a background stamp, so either tape it. The first time I did not tape it. I believe in the last card I will show you taping it, just so it doesn't slip on you while you're doing this. I'm also going to apologize for the choppy lighting in this video. One of my lights is actually on its way out, and it's going to be affecting both these videos since I recorded these all at once. So I apologize now, and I will apologize next week in the next video for this. Currently getting a new light sent to me, but until then we are going to have a little bit of a lighting issue here, so I am so sorry for that. Hopefully it doesn't affect what you're seeing in this video. Alright, so I'm going over this with some white embossing powder. I think it's the Recollections Snow. And I'm going to heat set this so that it is beautiful. And we are going to do a fun little ink resist with this, which is the most fun thing to do with these stamps because you get this beautiful, intricate white design. And like I said, lighting issues. So I'm going to take out some old inks that I got from Hero Arts from their Ocean kit. And I'm going to do a kind of bluish toned blended background for this card. So I'm going to super speed this. I'm using Soft Sky to start with. I'm going to go over this lightly with that, just to give it a nice undertone. And you can see the little intricate snowflakes coming through. Of course, you'll see them more when I put the other colors on. All right, I think we got most of this covered with that. Now I'm going in with, I believe it is the Summer Sky. And you can see the beautiful color that's coming out on these snowflakes as they're resisting the ink. All right. And the last color is going to be Deep Ocean. And I'm just going to try to do the edges a little bit with this. That way color underneath is still showing. And now I'm going to go back over with some more Summer Sky. And then I'm going to top it with a last layer of Soft Sky. And that is actually going to also help clean off the white on my thing. Because it is such a light color, it's going to actually make that white pop. Because it's going to wipe off the darker inks. And there you go. Isn't that pretty? I'm also going to make a panel now with my Arteza markers. I'm going to take some shades of green, a lighter shade and a darker shade. And we are going to use some of our iridescent watercolor ink. So I'm going to shake it up. Add some droplets of that to it. Tip, you're going to have to pre-pop it because they do have a seal on it. And then we'll be ready to go. I'm going to take a water brush. And I'm going to go over this with it. And you can see I've made my own custom iridescent colors. Like I said, you can use it by itself and watercolor with it, or you can mix it with your own colors. So if you want to make a blue iridescent sky, you can make that. You can make it in different ways. It is super, super sparkly and almost pearlescent. Now, I'm also going to put some plain ones and just go crazy on this also, just to give some contrast and color. So I did some smooshing techniques there. And I'm also going to add some evergreen, and I believe it was the pine needles, and my distress inks. And that way we have more contrast in the colors. So I'm going to heat set this really quickly. And you get this beautiful watercolor background. And I'm going to take my tree die and I'm going to cut that out. So to do this so you can have a 3D piece, you're going to take your 3D die plus the out layer. I mean, if you wanted to just leave it on a plain sheet of paper and have it just pop out, you would not use the outer die. But if you wanted to make an element that pops out, you would have to use the outer die. So you have that option. I, of course, chose I wanted it to pop out because I'm going to put it on top of another panel. So the easiest way is just to finger around this thing and just pop out little pieces here and there. Put a little adhesive on the edges of your die so you don't affect the branches so they don't stick down, which is a little difficult sometimes, but it can be done. I'm just going to fuss with it a little bit more and move it around. Just pop as much out as I can, and that's your cool little 3D effect you get with these dies. So I'm going to put that right there on that card like so. And I have a silver pearl card form I'm going to use. And I'm taking a piece of white cream iridescent pearlescent paper, and I'm going to make a little hill. Now I'm going to adhere that hill to my panel with the snowflakes. And I'm going to trim that down. Sorry, that's a little off camera. And I'm so sorry for this poor lighting. I am so bummed that this is happening. Looks like I'm going to be adding a new lighting system to my new studio. Hopefully the desk will be in today, because this is not going to be good for these videos. Alright, so I stuck my tree on. I just put some adhesive on the edges of that and I just fussed it around. Now I'm going to put this panel on, which I probably should have done craft foam before I put the tree on there so I don't smush it. And we're just going to adhere it down. And adhere that panel down to the card form. Now I'm going to move that out of my way for a minute. Now the fun thing about this stamp platform is not only can I now do my sentiment flag, but I'm going to show you how you can do your sentiment inside after the fact. I have fallen in love with this platform for that reason. But first, let me get this outside flag done. I put Let It Snow in, I believe it was Paris Dusk. And I'm also going to put a little bit of clear embossing powder over it just to give it a little gloss so that it doesn't wipe off. You don't have to, I just like giving that puffy effect to it. And heat set that and cut it. Cut it in a little sash. And I'm going to try to stick it underneath as much as the top parts of the tree as I can so it kind of gives it a 3D effect over it. And adhere that down with just a roll of adhesive. And then I wanted to tie in the little gems that came with this kit also. So I'm going to put some on the tree, but I'm also going to break it up a little bit with some clear chessboard rhinestones that we have on the store. So we're going to put in, I was going to just put stars on the tree and then put little dots of stars on the sky, but I realized I think it's too much of these stars on here. So I'm going to take some of these off and I'm going to put both in. And I'm just going to break it up a little bit, put a little bit of sequins mixed in with these little gems. Not sequins, rhinestones mixed in with these gems. just to give it a little bit of dimension. And to top it off, I'm going to take, I have some new sequin mixes. This is where I was thinking sequins available on the store. So I'm going to reach in and grab the silver one I have. And I believe that one is the winter sky or winter night set. And there we go. Isn't that pretty? Just enough iridescence on there. I hope you can see the iridescence in this lighting. But I told you that we can actually now, with this platform, put a sentiment in after the fact. And you can't. So you put these two little magnets here. Just put your pegs going the opposite direction of your card. Line up your thing. Ta-da! And you should always take off your other stamp before you stamp on there, but apparently I didn't. Luckily it wasn't dirty. I'm going to pull that off, and then I'm going to ink that up for you. And I'm going to put Winter Wishes inside in the same Paris Dusk. And I'm just going to do a couple layers. And you see, doesn't affect my front panel because it's in open sides. So you don't have to fold it over and go, oh no, it's the wrong thickness now. You can just stamp inside. And you can always fidget with these some more if you want, just to make sure you get that beautiful effect still, like I just did. But there you go. Isn't that cute? Just a simple little card, perfect for holidays. Alright, so for this next card, we are going to have some fun with some snowflakes. So I stamped the little snowflakes that came in the kit, and I'm using some sparkle embossing powder. This is actually by Stampendous. I have had a hard time finding this sparkle, but what's nice is it's a clear gloss. It glosses over the sparkle so that I can still do a resist technique with it. Now I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put my snowflakes. So I'm going to anti-static again because I want these to be scattered a little bit. If I had done this in the center, I probably could have just flipped everything around, but not thinking ahead, I didn't do that. So I'm just going to try to figure out best placement. I might have to just take these off and replace them and put them back on. Yep, that's what we're going to have to do. If I had planned this out better, I probably would have put this centered and be just turning my paper around and redoing it. But bad planning on my half. But here we go. We are going to stamp them on there again. I made the decision a couple weeks ago to cut down my series for this. I had a lot of people requesting more reviews and more different product ideas, and I figured, you know what? You're absolutely right. Maybe 3 weeks of Hero Arts is too much. As beautiful as Hero Arts kits are, sometimes 3 weeks of the same card techniques can be much. So we're going to break that up into 2 now. So less cards, but it also allows us to get into other products and other techniques and more fun things, especially as we get into the holidays. I will probably be having series on gift making and last minute tags and wrapping paper and stuff like that that shows you different ways to use your stamps other than just stamping cards. Also, well, product reviews too. So now that I got my little snowflakes in there, you can see that I can still do the resist because it has that clear, so it makes the white underneath show. And I'm doing this in Broken China. I was going to do the Faded Jeans too, but I think Broken China alone is a fun technique. So we're going to leave that on. Now I'm going to spritz this paper with some water. And give it a little water spots to make it look like there's a blizzard in the background. Alright, so we're going to heat set this and clean up our glass mat here. It's a little dirty. And we're going to get a very fun effect with this when we're done. Now I did the same thing I did before. I just cut a little hill with some cream. Actually, this might be white pearl this time. And I have these 2 little sliders that I cut out and colored and die cut. I didn't show the coloring on this because I felt that it was would take way too long to show me coloring these pieces. The sad thing is, as much as I love these little coloring pieces, they take me a while to color, and video time wise, it's just too long. So we just skip that. We all know what to do when we color. And we all have our different techniques of when we color. I shouldn't make you watch me color. That would be just one card. Alright, so I have that little hill adhered to it, and I trimmed it down. Now I'm going to 3D mount these little letters with some Scotch adhesive squares. Aren't they cute? I just think they're going to be so much fun putting them on there. Oops, I got a little bit on there. No, get off there. So I'm also going to put some craft foam behind this one, just to give it a little lift. And I'm putting a little extra adhesive on the top, only because it's a little warped because of the watercolor effect we had going on. So I want to make sure it sticks down really good. And I'm going to put this on a white card form. So I'm going to put these two little boys, peel off their backings, put them on. And there we go. We talked about how this platform revolutionizes turnabout stamps. Well, it also revolutionizes a lot of things. I don't need to make a sash after I make the card. Because this block comes off and isn't hinged and isn't going to squish anything, I can actually stamp on the card after it's assembled. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Look at that. It kind of revolutionizes that too, as well as the inside sentiment. Now, I want to put inside sentiment, so what do? I turn this way. Move that out of my way for a minute. There, center my sentiment, sending winter wishes. Make sure I line them up as much as I can. Whoops, I lost it. We'll just line it up on the block. Now that I got the sending there, I can just move it around. And then I'm going to take my Bahama Blue that I just did the first one with and put it inside. And look at that, sending winter wishes. And I can keep on doing it. Now, before with the hinge technique, you really couldn't do that. You would end up smushing something or you'd have to do it upside down. Now I don't have to do that. And there we go. There is that very simple little card. So out I'm coming again for card number 3 with our background cling stamp. And I am going to be stamping on another panel. This panel I taped on the back so it wouldn't move. Definitely a good idea. I didn't do that in the first one. Luckily, it didn't move too much on me, but you never know. So I'm going to do that a couple times. And this time I'm going to go over it with a clear embossing powder. Let me get this off. See, I adhered it on there. And it also gives me a little ring to hold on to while I'm doing this, which is kind of fun too if you do it that way. And that's the last of that bottle. Let me get another bottle. I want to use up the last of my little bottle I had left over, and then I'll add it all together. And there we go. So I'm going to heat set that. Oops, once I get enough on there. And then we are going to take out all our supplies out of the way here. And I'm going to take out warm lipstick and fired brick. And we are going to blend in these colors and make a beautiful kind of pinkish red background. And once again, you see that beautiful, intricate, almost lace snowflake design we're getting here. So I fell in love with this stamp. The other one was more simple. It had regular snowflakes. It didn't have that little filigree to it. And It was pretty, but it wasn't as pretty as this one. So I was like, oh yes, I must have this one. I splurged. I was like, I need this. And now I'm going to come in with a fired brick. I just wanted the pink undertones to be there, but not be as visible. So I'm going to blend it in. Almost reddish look. Now I'm just going to come back through with the pink and just wipe down the red off the clear. That way the snowflakes show better. All right. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm making this a shaker card. So I'm going to cut a little heart. And these are out of my stitched hearts by Cottage Cuts. And I'm going to make the boy and girl skaters that came with a kit, and I'm going to put them in on top of the heart, as well as the little mistletoe that came in the kit also. So we are going to cut that out. There's my heart. And I'm also going to, when I was looking at them, I realized I also needed the ice rink. So I am going to stamp that out also, as well as cut a piece of acetate. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my acetate and stick it to my heart. And I'm going to use up the last of my Tombow. I need to pick up some more of this. I've been making a lot of shaker cards lately, and I feel like I'm running out of Tombow. I think I'm just going to have just barely enough for this card. I like the Tombow because it has a nice thickness to it, and it's super sticky, which is great for making shaker cards because you don't have to worry about your elements falling apart. And because I do not want my shaker elements going too far down, I'm going to go on the bottom of the heart and put more foam tape, only to make sure that they don't go all the way down to the bottom and get lost on the bottom or get stuck on the bottom, but stay on the top area so it's easier to shake. Especially when you have a lot of space on the bottom, you don't want your stuff traveling all the way to the bottom and getting stuck. So definitely a trick. Go to the, make your window as small as possible. That way your shaker elements don't disappear. So I'm going to start by adhering the mistletoe. But like I said, I need to stamp out the ice rink before I do anything else. So we're going to get that set up to stamp that out. And we're going to slowly, we're going to have to color this a little bit because we don't want it to be just blank white. Add some shadow and stuff to it. So I'm going to start by stamping that in black, and it's going to be the Tuxedo Black by Memento. I tried stamping these little figures out with my archival, and for some reason, I just wasn't getting a clear black image like I wanted, so back to the Memento I went. I don't know if my archival is getting low or if it's just not enjoying the stamps as well. And I'm going to come in with my lightest gray that I have in my Arteza markers and just going to line this up and touch it over with some of this gray. So that way it kind of gives it a glassy look. So we're going to now fussy cut that out since there was no die for this ice rink. They did not add one to it, so I fussy cut that out, and I'm going to stick that to the bottom of my heart. And now I'm going to adhere both my little ice skating figures on either side. I saw this done with a circle, but I thought the heart was even cuter, especially with the mistletoe. That way it looked like they were underneath the heart with the mistletoe hanging down between them. Because honestly, mistletoe is where you give your love a kiss, so why not? And there they are. Isn't that perfectly cute? Oh my gosh. So now we are going to add our elements and take off this foam tape. So for the elements, I'm going to choose, I was trying to figure out what color I want to do. I didn't want to do that icy color. So I'm going to go with a gold mix I have going on right now. I believe it's called the Gold Standard. That is available on our site. And it is a fun shaker mix. It has gold stars with clear gold, matte gold, and then a holographic gold sequin in it. It's all gold. I chose the gold also because the back of this card is so warm in the reds that I wanted to keep the warmth going on inside. If I would have gone white, it would have looked really cool and cold with that bright red. So I decided we'll do some gold and make it really fun. So I'm just going to add a couple pinches. Don't need a lot, just to give it a little bit of that. And I'm going to put a white backing on behind it. And I always cut my backing a little big because I can always cut it down versus I can't size it back up. So even that way, if you do not get a, should I say, straight back on there, you can cut it down to whatever size you need. And I think that looks almost good. Oh, maybe not, a little bit more on this side. But there, see, now it makes a perfect panel on the back where it's not too big and it's not too small. Everything fits in place. Key trick to that, I used to try to cut it down to the size of it and I would always miss my mark or whatever. And it just was horrible. And I'm putting that on a white card form. And there's your little shaker part. Isn't that fun? So now we got to figure out our little sentiment here. So I'm going to put a little sentiment on here. Make a little sentiment flag. And I'm going to put sending winter wishes again. And this time I'm going to do it in, I believe I'm doing it in rhubarb stock. Yes, rhubarb stock. And I'm going to do that a couple times just so it's really bright red. And I'm going to trim that down so it fits into a little sash. And I'm going to put some Scotch tape, or actually some Scotch adhesive squares on the back of it just to give it a little lift. Trim that down a little bit so I get a little corner so it doesn't flap over. And we're going to hear that right on the bottom. And then I'm going to add some of the sequins that we have in the card on the outside. But first I'm going to do my little sentiment inside. Like I said, this revolutionary is how I even do my sentiments now. I never knew how hard my Stamp Perfect was to use until I got this, and I'm actually really loving this We Are Memory Keepers. It's funny too, it was the one I thought I would like the least, and it's actually the one I like the most, and I keep on saying that, but it really is. I like the freeness of the open block. It really makes it easy to stamp, and it actually makes it really easy to not have a hinge in your way putting pressure on it. It actually gets a cleaner stamp, I'm surprised, than I've had with any of them. So I'm really loving this little tool. All right, so like I said, while that is drying, I'm going to flip that over like that so the ink inside can dry. And I'm going to take each of the little sequins that are in the kit, except for the clear one because I didn't think that would show very well with the glue. And I'm going to put 3 of them right there just to tie it into what's inside the card. All right, and there we go. I just touched those down. And there you go. Isn't that a cute little shaker card? And it has a beautiful little details in it. But now to touch this down a little bit more, I'm going to test this little thing, and I'm going to come in my lacquer pen and give the ice a little glaze. That way it looks like ice on an ice rink. You can do this before you add the little people. It's just a little harder because you have to deal with your foam sticking in the glue. I found it easier to do it that way, but I forgot to do it, and I'm gonna go around them and try to just trace around them. It's another way you can do it also. And there you go. That is glazed up and pretty and ready to go. And there's that shaker. Isn't that fun? All right, so we do have our monthly challenge going on Facebook, so please check us out on Facebook and join our fun there, as well as Message Boards Mondays are starting this Monday, so check that out too to also win some prizes. That's on Instagram. I'll leave links down below. And if you enjoyed watching this video, please click the video of the last upload, as well as one specially curated just for you. And like always, we invite you to click this icon, subscribe, ring for notifications, and like. And also check out our subscription service on our website where you can subscribe to Crafty Sales as well as newsletters.